Brought to you by Baby Lock, for the love of sewing. Sulky Threads. Express yourself with Sulky and create with confidence.
Welcome to Quiltmakers Block Network. I'm June Dudley with Quiltmaker Magazine, and today I'm going to share with you Pinwheel Pizzazz. This is block number 374 that I designed for Quiltmakers 100 Blocks Volume 4. Today we're going to look at a quick, easy method for making a lot of triangle squares at one time. For this block you'll need scrappy red solids, white solids, a black print, a black stripe, and a red print. Now notice with the scrappy reds, rather than trying to match this red print, I decided to use a wide range of reds, and so my reds go from pink to orange with everything in between. The cutting dimensions to make a 12-inch block are on the screen. First, you're going to make triangle squares from the red and white solids in 4 different sizes. Then combine each size of triangle square units into 4 pinwheels. This is where you can see how the variety of reds really make these pinwheels pop. You're going to start combining units and work from the small pinwheels out to the largest pinwheel to complete the block. So after you've made your pinwheels, you're going to start to sew your pinwheels and patches together. And after you sew all of the pinwheels and patches together, then you can start combining the units, and you're just going to work from the smallest end out to the largest end. Here's what this block looks like repeated in a 4x4 setting. Between the strong diagonal in this block and the cascading sizes in the pinwheels, this quilt has a lot of movement and pizzazz. It's very versatile, and it will lead to many different settings. Here's a quilt I designed using this block for a special issue, Quilts from Quiltmakers 100 Blocks, Spring 2012. To make this quilt, you'll need 24 blocks. Each block needs 4 pinwheels in 4 sizes. That means 96 triangle squares in 4 different sizes. That's a lot of triangle squares. Instead of sewing squares together and making 2 triangle square units at a time, I wanted a quicker method. I used triangulations. This is software that lets you print foundations to make triangle squares that finish from 1/2 inch to 7.5 inches in 1/16 inch increments. Sounds like a lot of math, but the cool thing is all the work is done on here. You just have to find the right size and print that foundation out in order to make your blocks. So first I want to show you how to go from a pattern size, cut dimensions in Quiltmaker, to know for sure what size foundation you want to print. If you'll notice in the pattern instructions that the squares you use to make the largest pinwheel is a 3 1/8 inch. You're going to follow that over to see that the triangulations grid is 2 1/4 inch. On their triangulations page, then the 2 1/4 inch grid is going to be found on page 24, and you will print out a foundation that's going to look like this. Now, one thing you want to make sure when you print these foundations, you want to print them at an accurate size, at 100% with no scaling. And the good thing is this will tell you what size it is, so you can actually measure the sides to make sure you've got the correct size. And this page will give us 12 half square units. So to use this, you're going to trim it down so you're outside the final trim area. You're going to layer your red and your white fabric together. If you had prints, you'd want to make sure that the right side of the print is on the inside. You're going to layer your foundation on top of that, and you're going to pin these together. Then you're going to follow the arrows, and you're going to sew on these dashed lines, following the arrows. And as you sew, it's going to take you all the way around until you have finished units that are sewn. It's easier to see from the back side that it's been sewn all the way around the edges. Okay, so you're going to trim your foundation outside the cutting edges. You're going to layer your 2 fabrics together, your red and white. If you had a print, you'd want to make sure that the right sides are next to each other on the inside. And I like to put the light color on the next to the foundation because then that helps when I'm pressing it. And you're going to pin those 3 layers together. And then you're going to sew, and you're going to be able to follow, you're going to sew on the dashed lines, and you're going to follow the arrows, and they're going to take you all the way around from start to finish until you meet again. So here's one that has been sewn together, and you can see the stitching on the back side of this one. Okay, and then next you're going to trim the outside edges on the solid line all the way around. And then you're going to continue to cut on the solid lines. You're going to remove the pins now and cut them apart. And you will continue cutting. Now you cut on the solid line between the lines of stitching. And you have your triangle square. By the time you finish cutting all of these apart, you'll have 12 half square triangle units from this one page. You will continue to do this with each of the 3 remaining sizes for this particular block. And again, you find the finished size here. If you need to know the cut size, you can see that here. So if you're converting a pattern, you'll convert from the cut size to what size it is once it's been sewn together, and after it's been sewn into a block to a finished size. Pinwheel Pizzazz and 99 more creative blocks can be found in Quiltmakers 100 Blocks Volume 4. The complete pattern for the queen size Pinwheel Pizzazz can be found in Quilts from Quiltmakers 100 Blocks Spring 2012. Thanks so much for joining us today. Hope to see you again soon on Quiltmakers Block Network. I really do love working with the Quiltmakers staff. It's a great group of creative individuals. Almost all of us are quilters. Our art director is not a quilter, but he's learned to appreciate it and has figured out things like what a seam allowance is and what a fat quarter is. But the rest of us all quilt, and that's one of the things that really makes Quiltmaker magazine such a wonderful issue, because it's filled with stuff that we all love. Somebody on our staff loves everything that goes in the issue. One thing that's really fun is that we all have different tastes, and so we've learned to appreciate each other's taste. If it's not something that one person is in love with, but 3 other people are in love with it, it's going in the magazine. So, but the people are what sorry. It was like, I couldn't stop it. Yeah. But the people at Quiltmaker are just tons of fun and very creative, and just a great group of people to work with.